The cake was still fresh on my lips when the camera started flashing. A whole damn room full of people watched as Chelsea, my brand new sister-in-law, smashed a fistful of red velvet into my face and then had the audacity to pose with me like we were two sorority girls pulling some prank. Frosting dripped down my chin, and she tilted her head, smiling wide, perfect teeth gleaming like she just won Miss America. It wasn't the playful kind of cake smash you see in viral videos. No, she went for the kill. She pressed so hard, I almost lost my balance in my wedding heels. The crowd gasped, then a few started laughing, and before I knew it, the sound of my humiliation filled the ballroom. My husband, Ryan, froze like a deer in headlights, holding the knife we just used to cut the cake. My mother's mouth was open so wide, you could have parked a truck in there. And me? I stood there, cake plastered across my face, mascara smudged, dress ruined, and my heart pounding so loud I swear I could hear it echo through the speakers. This was supposed to be my night, the moment I became Mrs. Collins. But Chelsea? She made damn sure it was her stage. The worst part? She didn't just walk away. No, she stayed right next to me, holding up her champagne glass as the photographer snapped shots of my humiliation. She whispered, just loud enough for me to hear over the laughter, "Smile for the camera, sweetheart. You'll thank me later." What the actual fuck does that even mean? I didn't scream. I didn't shove her back, even though my fists clenched so tight my nails cut little crescents into my palms. I just stood there and let the cameras flash, frosting sliding down my cheeks. And in that moment, I realized something chilling. This wasn't a joke. It wasn't some drunken mistake. It was deliberate, calculated. The question was, why? Well, to answer that, I've got to take you back, way back, because Chelsea didn't just decide to ruin me on the spot. This had been brewing for months, maybe even years. And if you think the story is about me being some innocent bride caught in a ha-ha funny prank, buckle the hell up, because by the end of this, you'll see just how twisted her little game really was and how I made sure she paid for it. But before the revenge, before the chaos, before the frosting stuck in my eyelashes, let me start from the beginning. My name is Natalie. I'm 27 years old, born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, and until a few months ago, I thought my life was finally falling into place. I grew up in a middle-class family. Nothing fancy, but we were close. Mom's a nurse, Dad's a mechanic. They taught me about kindness, empathy, and working hard for the things you love. And yeah, maybe I took that too seriously. Maybe I thought if you treated people with kindness, they'd return the favor. Spoiler alert, they don't. I met Ryan at a 4th of July cookout 2 summers ago. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with this stupid grin that made me feel like a teenager again. He worked in real estate, knew how to charm a room, and most importantly, he treated me like I was the only woman alive. At least that's what I believed. We moved fast, too fast, according to my friends. Within a year, he proposed on a rooftop restaurant in downtown Cincinnati, fireworks literally going off in the background. It felt like fate, like the universe had finally given me my fairy tale ending. But what I didn't realize then is that when you marry a man, you don't just marry him. You marry his damn family. And Ryan's family? They came with baggage. Enter Chelsea. The first time I met her was on Sunday dinner at his parents' house. She strutted into the dining room like she owned the place. Blonde curls bouncing, expensive perfume choking the air, heels clicking against the hardwood. She looked at me up and down the way you'd inspect a knockoff handbag, then plastered on this fake smile. "So, this is Natalie. You're cute. Cute. Like a puppy. Like a child.
Not beautiful, not kind, just cute. I laughed it off because what else was I supposed to do? But that was Chelsea's thing. Tiny little jabs hidden under the guise of joking. And Ryan, he'd just roll his eyes. That's my sister. She's just like that. Don't take it personally. But I did. Oh, I did. She'd make comments about my job, about my clothes, about the way I pronounced words. At family gatherings, she'd always make some sly remark that made everyone laugh at my expense. And I'd smile because what else could I do? I didn't want to start drama. I didn't want to be that girl who fights with her fiance's sister. But looking back now, I should have known. The cake smash? That wasn't just a joke gone too far. It was the grand finale to a show Chelsea had been directing for months. And you won't believe how deep it really went.
I should have known Chelsea was going to be a problem the very first night I stepped into the Collins family home. I remembered the smell of garlic bread and wine filling the dining room, the walls lined with old black and white family portraits, and me nervously smoothing down my dress before walking in. Ryan's mom greeted me with open arms, his dad gave me a firm handshake, but Chelsea? She just stood there at the end of the table, wineglass in hand, looking at me like I was some stray cat Ryan had dragged in from the alley. She didn't hug me. She didn't even shake my hand. Instead, she leaned back in her chair, crossed her legs, and said, "So, this is her." Not hi, not nice to meet you, just this is her. Like I was some science experiment. I tried to laugh it off. I told myself maybe she's just protective of her brother. Families can be weird like that. I grew up with 2 brothers myself, and trust me, if they'd brought some random girl home, I probably would have grilled her too. But the thing about Chelsea, she didn't just grill me, she put me on the fucking rotisserie. Throughout dinner, she kept lobbing these little verbal grenades at me. "Oh, you're a teacher. That's sweet. Guess somebody has to do it." Or, "You don't drink red wine? Huh, interesting. So you're like boring?" Or, "Ryan usually dates women with, more of a city vibe, but hey, you're cute, like a golden retriever." A golden retriever. Can you believe that shit? Ryan, bless his dumb heart, just laughed it off. "That's my sister," he said, clinking his fork against his glass. "She jokes around. Don't take her too seriously." But here's the thing. Chelsea wasn't joking. There's a difference between teasing and cutting someone down while smiling to make it look harmless. I've seen mean girls before, but Chelsea was on another level. She wasn't content to just be a bitch in private. She had to humiliate me publicly. And slowly, it got worse. Every family event after that, she'd turn up the heat. At Thanksgiving, she accidentally spilled cranberry sauce on my cream sweater. At Christmas, she bought me a cheap knockoff purse and announced in front of everyone that she'd seen me eyeing the real one at the mall, but this was close enough, right? When Ryan and I got engaged, she smiled for the photos but whispered in my ear, "Don't get too comfortable. Things change." I didn't even know what the hell that meant at the time. But now, looking back after the cake smash, I realize she'd been warning me, testing me, playing her sick little long game. And let me tell you something about me. I might come across as polite, maybe even soft, but I'm not fucking stupid. I know when someone's trying to break me down. And Chelsea? She thought she was clever. She thought I'd be too nice, too scared to ever fight back. She underestimated me. I tried talking to Ryan about it, but you know what he said? "Babe, she's just jealous. Ignore her." Jealous? Sure. But jealous of what exactly? That was the part that kept me up at night. It wasn't just about me marrying her brother. It wasn't just about me being in the family. Chelsea had this look in her eyes whenever she talked to Ryan. It wasn't sisterly. It was possession. Like she owned him.
Like no woman on earth was ever going to be good enough. And every time she cut me down, I could see the satisfaction in her smirk. The more uncomfortable I was, the more powerful she felt. She was a fucking puppeteer, pulling strings while the rest of the family pretended not to notice. So when the wedding planning began, oh, you better believe Chelsea inserted herself in every fucking detail. She critiqued the flowers, mocked the dress I chose, made snide comments about the guest list. She even tried to convince Ryan to change our first dance song because, according to her, that one just doesn't fit you guys. Excuse me, us guys? But Ryan, like always, brushed it off. That's just Chelsea. She's opinionated. Don't let it get to you. Opinionated? No, Ryan, serial killers are opinionated. Chelsea was dangerous. And I don't use that word lightly, because the deeper we got into writing prep, the clearer it became Chelsea wasn't just trying to ruin my mood. She was trying to ruin me. And the way she finally pulled it off, the way she made the whole damn world laugh at my expense while frosting dripped off my eyelashes, well, that was just the beginning.
You know how people say you should trust your gut? Well, mine had been screaming at me for months before the wedding, and like a fucking idiot, I ignored it. Every time Chelsea was around, I felt this heavy weight in my chest, like she was circling me, waiting for me to slip so she could pounce. And it wasn't just the snide comments or the fake laughs. No, there was something deeper. Something in the way she'd lean in too close to Ryan when she talked to him, the way her hand would linger on his arm just a little too long. I kept telling myself, she's his sister, don't be paranoid. But my gut was saying, nah, girl, this bitch wants to see you crash and burn. And I wasn't wrong. The closer we got to the wedding, the bolder Chelsea became. She questioned every decision like it was her damn event. Are you sure about those flowers? They feel cheap. That dress doesn't really flatter you. Maybe go for something less fitted. And the cake? Red velvet? Really? It stains easily, you know? At the time, I didn't think much of that last comment, but later I realized she'd been planning the whole fucking thing. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The rehearsal dinner was when shit really started to unravel. Picture this, a beautiful banquet hall in downtown Cincinnati, string lights twinkling across the ceiling, tables draped in crisp white linens, plates gleaming. My family was there, Ryan's family, close friends. Everyone was dressed to the nines. It should have been perfect. Except Chelsea made sure it wasn't. Halfway through dinner, she stood up, glass of wine in hand, and said, I just want to give a toast to my baby brother and his soon-to-be wife. Her smile was wide, too wide, like a shark circling prey. I already knew something bad was coming. She started out sweet, talking about Ryan growing up, how he was always the golden boy, how he deserved someone special. But then her tone shifted. Her smile turned sharp. And Natalie, well, she's definitely something. The room went awkwardly silent. My mom shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Ryan chuckled nervously, trying to cut the tension, but Chelsea wasn't finished. She said, I just hope she can handle everything that comes with being a Collins. This family isn't for the weak. And well, Ryan has always had high standards. I'm sure she'll rise to the occasion. It was a threat dressed up as a toast, and everyone knew it. The table clapped politely, but I could feel the heat rising in my face. My jaw ached from clenching so hard. And Ryan? He pulled Chelsea aside afterward, whispered something to her, but when he came back, all he said to me was, Don't worry about it. She's just being protective. Protective? Bitch, that wasn't protective. That was war. And I was done playing nice. I started paying attention after that.
watching her, studying the way she worked a room. Chelsea wasn't just mean, she was manipulative. She'd smile sweetly to someone's face, then rip them apart the second they walked away. She knew everyone's secrets, and she wasn't afraid to use them. But here's the kicker. Chelsea wasn't just after me. She wanted control of everything. The family, the spotlight, even Ryan. Especially Ryan. And the thought of me standing at the altar with him, that was something she couldn't stomach. Looking back now, the signs were all there. The way she'd roll her eyes whenever Ryan held my hand, the way she'd joke about me not lasting in the family, the way she cornered me once at his parents' house and said, "You know, women like you don't usually last long around here." I asked her what the hell that meant, and she just smirked. "You'll see." And oh, I did see. Because by the time the wedding day rolled around, Chelsea had already set her trap, and I walked right into it, blind as hell, thinking I was about to live my fairy tale. But fairy tales don't end with frosting dripping down your face while the whole room laughs. No, that was Chelsea's twisted masterpiece. And trust me when I say this, she thought that was the end of it, that she had won. But she had no idea what I was capable of.
The morning of my wedding should have been the happiest fucking day of my life. Instead, I woke up with a pit in my stomach the size of a crater. I remember staring at the ceiling of the bridal suite, hearing my bridesmaids giggling over mimosas, and all I could think about was Chelsea. Not Ryan, not my vows, not the life I was about to start. No, Chelsea. Like some parasite burrowing into my brain, she was all I could see. She had been quiet since the rehearsal dinner and not made it worse. No sly comments, no snide remarks, nothing. Just this eerie silence, like a snake coiled in the grass waiting to strike. And I knew deep down she had something planned. But what the hell was I supposed to do? Cancel the wedding? Tell Ryan his sister was a psychopath and expect him to side with me on the biggest day of his life? Please! He'd already made it clear he'd defend her no matter what. So, I put on my dress. It was a strapless satin gown with a sweetheart neckline, fitted bodice, and a skirt that flowed like liquid moonlight. I loved that dress. I'd worked overtime shifts to pay for it myself because I didn't want to owe Chelsea a damn thing. My bridesmaids fussed around me, fixing my veil, reapplying my lipstick, while I tried to ignore the feeling that I was walking into a battlefield instead of a marriage. And then she showed up. Chelsea burst into the suite without knocking, her heels clicking against the floor like gunshots. She wore this slim black dress, yes, black, to a wedding, and a smirk that made my skin crawl. "Wow," she said, looking me up and down. "You actually look decent. Didn't think you'd pull it off." The room went silent. My maid of honor, Jenna, shot me a look that said, "Want me to deck her?" But I just smiled tightly because that's what I always did. Chelsea wasn't finished. She walked over, adjusted my veil like she owned me, and whispered in my ear, "Enjoy this while it lasts." What the fuck did that even mean? I didn't ask. I couldn't. If I opened my mouth, I was afraid I'd scream. The ceremony itself went off without a hitch, surprisingly. Ryan stood there looking like every woman's dream in his black tux, his smile so wide it almost made me forget Chelsea existed. Almost. The vows were perfect, the rings slid on smoothly, and when the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," I swear, for one fleeting second, I thought maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. But then came the reception. The ballroom was stunning. Chandeliers glittering like stars, tables draped in gold linens, centerpieces of roses and lilies that smelled like heaven. Guests laughed, glasses clinked.
The DJ played soft jazz while everyone mingled. For a moment, I allowed myself to breathe. And then I saw her. Chelsea. Standing at the bar, eyes locked on me like a predator stalking prey. She raised her glass in a mock toast, then winked. My stomach dropped. Still, I pushed through. I smiled, I danced, I made small talk with relatives I hadn't seen in years, and when the time came for the cake cutting, I told myself, just get through this, just smile for the pictures. The cake was massive, 5 tiers of red velvet and buttercream, decorated with intricate white roses. It had taken me weeks to choose it, weeks of planning and tasting. Ryan stood beside me, hand on mine as we held the knife, both of us laughing nervously as the photographer circled us. Guests gathered around, cheering. It was supposed to be a moment of joy. But I didn't see her slip through the crowd. I didn't see her move closer. Glass still in hand, that devil's grin plastered on her face. Not until it was too late. Because just as Ryan and I sliced the first piece, just as I lifted the fork to his mouth and everyone clapped, Chelsea lunged. She grabbed a chunk of cake this size of a brick, and with every ounce of strength in her perfectly manicured hand, she smashed it straight into my face. The crowd gasped, cameras flashed, frosting exploded across my hair, my dress, my veil, my knees buckled, and for a split second, I thought I was going to hit the floor. And Chelsea, that bitch, posed. She stood right next to me, arm around my shoulder, smiling like she just won an Oscar while I stood there covered in cake, mascara running, my entire body trembling. And then she whispered it. "Smile for the camera, sweetheart. You'll thank me later." That was the moment. The moment everything clicked. This wasn't about fun. It wasn't about family. It wasn't even about Ryan. Chelsea wanted to destroy me. And the worst part, the room was laughing. My humiliation was their entertainment. But what Chelsea didn't know, what nobody knew, was that I wasn't going to let it end there. No, I was going to make her regret ever thinking she could fuck with me.
Here's the thing. Chelsea thought she was untouchable. She thought she could humiliate me at will, and I'd just smile and take it. What she didn't know was that I'd been sitting on something nuclear. It happened during the rehearsal dinner. Chelsea had gotten absolutely hammered, the kind of drunk where she thought she was the funniest person in the room, then passed out cold on her parents' leather sofa, heels still on, phone in her limp hand. Everyone else was busy with wine and dessert, so I leaned over to move her phone before someone stepped on it. The screen was glowing, gallery app wide open. I wasn't snooping, not at first, but then I saw it. A video thumbnail, Chelsea's face. And when curiosity got the better of me, I tapped it. Jesus Christ! There she was, Chelsea, naked, in some motel-looking room, on camera, with a stranger. Not her boyfriend. Not anyone from the family circle. Just some random guy. Tattoos and all. Giving it to her while she recorded the whole thing herself, moaning like a porn star. I stared for maybe 5 seconds before my brain screamed, "Send it to yourself. Now." So I did. Quick airdrop to my phone. Then I erased every trace from hers. Deleted from gallery, deleted from trash, gone. She never stirred. At the time, I wasn't even thinking revenge. Honestly, I was thinking blackmail, something to finally get her off my back. If she pushes me too far, I'll use this. That was the plan. Keep it tucked away. A secret weapon. But then came the wedding. Then came the cake in my face, the mascara dripping, the laughter of 300 people, and Chelsea whispering, "Smile for the camera, sweetheart. You'll thank me later." That was it. That was the moment my hand was forced. So when the crowd was still buzzing and Chelsea was still grinning, I walked to the DJ booth, frosting dripping down my dress, and sent him the file. I whispered, "Play this loud, don't ask questions." His eyes went wide, but he did as he was told, and 30 seconds later, Chelsea's moans echoed through the ballroom. The gasps, the dropped forks, the broken glass. It was chaos. Then the projector screen lit up, and there she was, in glorious HD, on all fours, begging some stranger to go harder while she filmed herself like she was auditioning for a role in a porn movie. The room exploded. Ryan's mother screamed. His father shouted, "Turn it off!" Kids were being dragged out by their parents. My bridesmaids were crying with laughter. And Chelsea was shrieking like a banshee, running for the booth, yelling, "Shut it off! Turn the F off!" But it was too late. Everyone had seen. Everyone had heard. The golden child was exposed for exactly what she was. I didn't yell. I didn't even flinch. I just raised my glass and said, "Well, I guess she wanted the spotlight." The laughter that followed shook the damn chandelier. Chelsea bolted out of the room, face redder than the velvet cake still smeared across mine, and me? I let the satisfaction sink in. Not just because I'd humiliated her, but because I still had the upper hand. Later that night, I texted her. Just one message. "Keep fucking with me, and I'll upload every copy of that video to every adult site and dark web forum I can find. Try me." She didn't reply. Not a word. And the best part? I deleted the file a week later. But she didn't know that, and she never would. From that day forward, Chelsea left me the fuck alone. No more snide comment, no more cute jokes. At Thanksgiving, she actually brought me a plate of food and called me sweetie. At Christmas, she gave me a real gift instead of a knockoff purse. Every family gathering since, she's plastered on the fakest smile, but behind her eyes, fear. Because she knows. She knows I could ruin her with one click. And honestly, that's better than any cake smash. So tell me, was I wrong for what I did, or did Chelsea get exactly what she deserved? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story of instant karma, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves a good revenge story.